Okay. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
As you know, I'm Mark Long, with a board member of the Comal County Deputy Sheriff's Association, and thank you for being here this morning for this interview. As you know from the email, you'll be allowed a 3-minute opening statement. After that, we'll have 4 questions for you, and you'll have 2-minute response time, and then a 2-minute closing. In your opening, we'd like to hear about yourself, your background, education, and work life experience. So with that, and at 30 seconds, we'll give you a warning that you have 30 seconds left so you can collect your thoughts. And with that, you may begin.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Joe Swanee, and I kind of always open these by spelling it, but I think you all know how to spell it. There's no W in it. But I am a candidate for DA, and just a brief outline of my experience, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I never thought I would be one of the older guys at the office, but maybe some folks out there don't know my experience. I became an attorney in 1997, and I hung a shingle in San Antonio, and I practiced in San Antonio and in New Braunfels. I lived here with my wife, Diane. We were married here in '93 at St. Peter and Paul Catholic Church. And I was recruited into the DA's office by then First Assistant Jim Noble. And I started in the misdemeanor department in '99, and 1 year later I was promoted to chief of that division, and then I was promoted to the felony division, and in 2004 was promoted to chief felony prosecutor, the position that Sammy now holds. During that time period, Judge Waldrop was very supportive of my desire to go back to the academy, which I did in '99, and I got my peace officer certification in 2000. And it was at that time that I applied for and was admitted to the sheriff's office as a reserve deputy, and I've served in that capacity since that time. In 2007, I left the DA's office to work for a computer software company. It was owned by Constable Shane Rapp at the time. And from there, I drove all around the state talking to law enforcement agencies. And as a side note, I got a lot of job offers. I just had no desire to work in the Panhandle in some of the places that I was. But I was recruited into the 63rd and 83rd Judicial DA's office on the border in Del Rio. And I was first assistant there and prosecuted crimes of unbelievable violence and narcotics amounts that we don't see here. We really measured the amounts that we prosecuted by the truckload, and in some cases by the train car load. It was just immense amounts of narcotics. From there, I was recruited into the Kerr County Attorney's office by then Kerr County Attorney Rob Henneke, and I've served in that capacity ever since.
Thank you. If elected, what changes do you plan to make to the office of DA that may affect the sheriff's office?
Well, I want to instill a policy of service. What I'm looking for is a sea change in attitude. I think all of us that have been with the office for a while have experienced changes over time, and I don't believe that they're positive. What I'm seeing from the office is that it's not something or a place that can be relied on to support law enforcement, or even be relied on to provide quality advice from your attorney. And I think that needs to change, and I'm looking for basically a sea change back to service. I have a lot of conversations, some of them are with politicians, that's true, but most of them are with the folks that run the county. These are the people that are not elected, but are the ones that nuts and bolts know how to run the county. And the resounding response that I get is that they don't feel comfortable even ordering a set of, or a case of paper towels without getting the DA's okay. What I'd like to see is the DA refocused on its core principles, and what we can see from that is that we have a lot of cases that are languishing. The clearance rates for the office have dropped to 50% for adult cases, and that's unacceptable. What that results in is huge delays. It results in cost overruns to house them at the jail in other counties. We need to refocus on our mission, and first priority is to make it a mission of service, of course, but then we're going to get back to the business of being a district attorney's office, and that's focusing on our core mission.
Thank you, sir. If elected, what changes, if any, would you want to see made at the sheriff's office itself?
Well, this kind of ties into my last question. What we've seen from the current administration at the DA's office is a desire to micromanage everything that the county does. My goal is to get out of the sheriff's office business. Okay, I want to refocus our office on our core mission, and I want to get away from micromanaging the things that occur at the sheriff's office. My role that I intend for the office is one of support. When you need us, we intend to be there. And back in the day when I was chief of that office, I was available 24 hours a day, and I attended every major crime scene. I know that doesn't happen now, but I'm diverging from your question a little bit, but what I intend is that we intend to get out of everyone's business unless we're needed.
All right, sir. Comal County residents pay tens of thousands of dollars a month to house prisoners in jails outside of the county. Do you believe there is anything the DA's office can do to limit or reduce jail overcrowding, and if so, what is it?
Absolutely, and this kind of ties into my other two answers. In refocusing our attention to our completeness percentages, that inevitably will occur. If we are focused and we remain focused on getting our cases tried in a timely fashion and moving cases through the system, then that erases itself. I know the incumbent on several occasions has compared her budget to that of the sheriff's office in claiming that her budget has not increased. However, it's the policies of the incumbent that have resulted in cost overruns at the sheriff's office. It is squarely on the part of the criminal district attorney's office, and if they focus on their core task of moving cases through the system, then there will not be cost overruns at the sheriff's office or in other departments. So absolutely. And just more directly to that point, I can tell you that in 1999, when I started with the office, we were trying more misdemeanor trials than they're trying today, and they have a staff of 5 people. It's amazing to me how far away from their core mission they've gotten. But my position is yes, the money is wasted, and it's squarely the fault of the DA, and I intend to correct it.
All right, sir, thank you. Recently, the DA's office agreed to eliminate the requirement of deputies signing Brady forms and the requirement that deputies personally appear for case intake. These are welcome changes. Are there any other changes that you can see from your perspective that might be implemented to streamline case review and prosecution?
Well, the most vivid, of course, is waiting until lab results are received from DPS in order to present the case. From the start of this procedure, both from police officers, defense counsel, judges, everyone has said that this, we all know that the grand jury process is one of probable cause determination. If there's a presumptive test from the field, we can proceed on the case, and even the defense bar wants to be able to move their cases. If their clients know what they had and they're ready to begin their sentence, then that's something that needs to be embraced, and that's something that needs to change immediately.
Okay, thank you. You now have 2 minutes to tell us anything you want that maybe wasn't covered in the question.
There's a lot of this I know is preaching to the choir. I see a lot of familiar faces out there, and I know a lot of familiar faces will be watching the videos online. I've done this job, and there's some that have been around long enough to remember my service in the DA's office. It's been a little while. It's been 10 years, but I'll tell you that as I move around the county, as I engage in my patrol activities during the summer with you and share time with you, universally the request has been, Joe, good to see you, glad you're okay, you're running for DA, right? And the reason I'm here has very little to do with me. I get that question a lot. It's well, Joe, why do you want to be DA? And I always have to stop a little bit because I don't really liken it to wanting to be DA. What I liken it to is driving by and seeing an injury accident. You see a problem. Do you stop or do you keep driving? And that's kind of my perspective on this, is I see a lot of the problems, and I communicate with all of you, and I communicate with other members of the community, and it's not about really anything that I want. It's about being the person that you need when you need it, and that's what wearing uniform is, and that's what being DA is. And I think they've lost sight of that. And I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm doing this for you.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming.
And dismiss.
Yes, you may.